Stalin, the last 72 hours, murder or stroke? March 5th, 1953, 9:50 p.m. Stalin's heart stops. 10 minutes earlier, doctors inject adrenaline directly into his heart, one last attempt to bring him back. It does not work. Standing at his bedside, Khrushchev, Beria, Malenkov, men who spent their entire lives terrified of this one person, men who had the most to gain from his death. His daughter Svetlana would later write, "The agony was terrible. It was suffocating him before everyone's eyes. In his final moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked around at everyone standing there. It was a horrible gaze, either mad or angry, and filled with the terror of death. 30 minutes after he dies, they are already dividing power in his office. But no one sits in his chair." The question historians are still asking today: did he die on his own, or did someone help him along? The night of March 1st. This is where it all begins. February 28, 1953. Stalin has dinner with his inner circle for the last time. Around the table, Khrushchev, Beria, Malenkov, Bulganin, the four men who stood to benefit most from his death. They leave late at night. Stalin stays at his dacha in Kuntsevo. A full day passes. Late in the evening of March 1st, the guards grow uneasy. The boss has not come out. The light in his room is on. No sounds. They go in. Stalin is lying on the floor of the dining room, paralyzed, unconscious. And here is where something happens that defies explanation. Why did no one call a doctor? The guards are in a state of panic. Stalin's personal physician, the academic Nidyov, is in prison. He was arrested a few months earlier during the so-called doctor's plot. The one man Stalin trusted with his health is behind bars. The guards are afraid. Calling doctors without authorization means taking personal responsibility. They call upstairs. The first to arrive are Beria and Malenkov. They look at Stalin lying on the floor and say, "He is just sleeping. Do not disturb him." They leave. Stalin lies on the floor without medical attention. Doctors are not permitted to see him until the morning of March 2nd. He lay there without help for nearly 10 hours. Version 1. A stroke. Doctors examine Stalin on March 2nd. Diagnosis: cerebral hemorrhage, stroke, paralysis of the right arm and left leg, loss of speech. Treatment by the book: leeches behind the ears, 8 of them, ice pack on the head, oxygen, injections of caffeine, glucose, camphor. If this had been anyone other than Stalin, they would have said it immediately. Death is inevitable. His predisposition to stroke was beyond question. 73 years old. Hypertension he had never properly treated. Decades of stress, working through the night, smoking, heavy meals, wine every evening. Doctors believed that before March 1st, he had likely already suffered several minor strokes, possibly even serious hemorrhages. Against that backdrop, a fatal stroke looks like an entirely natural outcome. But Version 2. Murder. There is no direct evidence of a conspiracy, but there is a great deal of circumstantial evidence, and some of it is extraordinary. First, Stalin lies without help for nearly 10 hours. Beria and Malenkov are the first to arrive. They say, "He is sleeping, leave him." Coincidence or deliberate delay? Second, Stalin's son Vasily, after his father's death, states openly they killed him. In April 1953, he's arrested. A few years later, he's dead. Third, the pathologist, Professor Rusakov, performs the autopsy on Stalin. According to accounts that emerged later, he finds a hemorrhage in the stomach, a clear sign of severe poisoning that could have triggered the stroke. On April 12, 1953, 1 month after Stalin's death, Professor Rusakov suddenly dies. Rusakov's superior and the Minister of Health are arrested and sent to work in Vorkuta. Fourth, Beria personally selects the doctors treating Stalin. He personally oversees how they fill out their medical records. Stalin's bodyguards are dispersed to different cities immediately after his death. Fifth, May 1, 1953. Beria stands on the Lenin Mausoleum tribune during the parade. According to those present, he says quietly but audibly, "I saved all of you. I removed him just in time." Sixth, 1964. Khrushchev, already removed from power, is reflecting on Stalin and seems to let something slip. History has known many cruel tyrants, but they all perished by the axe, just as they themselves had maintained their power by the axe. Who gained? Look at what happened within hours of Stalin's death. Before the official announcement of his passing, the inner circle is already dividing positions. Malenkov, head of the Council of Ministers; Khrushchev, the Central Committee apparatus; Beria, Molotov, Kaganovich, Bulganin, deputies. The writer Konstantin Simonov, who witnessed those days firsthand, recalled that everyone seemed to have shed a tremendous weight from their shoulders. They breathed more freely, they spoke more loudly. Every single one of them had lived in fear for years. Every one knew their turn could come any moment. Every one of them had a motive, and Beria had every means. What does logic say? Stalin was terrified of being poisoned, terrified of doctors. In his final years, he barely let anyone near him medically. The one doctor he trusted was in prison. The doctor's plot, which Stalin himself had launched, was beginning to point investigators in directions that led very close to Beria. Everyone understood this, Beria most of all. The choice was simple: act or wait for your turn against the execution wall. The ending. The truth is still unknown. Perhaps somewhere in the sealed archives of the Kremlin, there are documents that one day will explain everything. Perhaps there are not. But the facts speak for themselves. The man half the world feared lay on the floor without help for 10 hours. The only doctor he trusted was sitting in a prison cell. The pathologist who performed the autopsy was dead within a month. The son who called it murder ended up behind bars. And the men standing at his deathbed by the following morning were already carving up his country between them. You decide whether that is coincidence or not. If this was a conspiracy, it was executed perfectly, because 70 years later, it still cannot be proven.